We
Yes,
are excited to be here.
yes. If you're normally in the audience, we are. Just raise your hands, and we'd love to have you on stage. And we're very excited. Dan, are you ready? I'd love to hear sharing her amazing bio. Go ahead, Daniel.
I am ready and I am excited to hear about Cheri. It's going to be really incredible. Thank you for being here. We're so appreciative. I love your story. It's an incredible story. And then I can't wait to hear more. We've all been cracking codes since yesterday. We even have personal examples of how this helped us. So Cheri here, Cheri, not cherry, it's Cheri. I learned that. Is the best-selling author of Why They Buy, and she is the CEO and founder of Codebreaker Technology with clients in more than 180 countries worldwide. Cheri is controversial by saying that sales is not a numbers game, it's a people's game. Rather than going for no, she teaches people how to go for yes. It seems so simple, yet something that's been done incorrectly for a long time. So excited that you're here. She's the creator of the revolutionary bank methodology, used her own system to become a multimillionaire, best known for taking her income from 72 grand to over 500 grand in 1 year and over $1 million in 3 years using bank. Cheri has spoken to millions of entrepreneurs globally alongside Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, and Sir Richard Branson. She's also been invited to speak at Harvard University, University of California, Google, United Nations, and was featured in Forbes for her Codebreaker AI as the future of sales. She's passionate about teaching people how to crack the personality code and take it to the bank. Welcome, Cheri.
Boom. Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
Yes, super.
So is this where I get to jump in and talk about my founder story?
Yes, so amazing. So Cheri,
Okay, I think.
Okay, cool. So, hey, everybody. It's so exciting. I know you guys are all cracking codes. And if you want to know what we're talking about, we're going to talk about it on today's show. Obviously, you can go crack your code. We set it up for you to be able to do it for free at WMB.Club. That's the link that you guys can go to do that. So let me give you guys a little bit of backstory. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and what I love about this group here on Clubhouse is this is the group that's designed to help you learn how to make your first $1 million. And I remember I had a big dream. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. In my wildest dreams, I wanted to be a millionaire. And I didn't know how, but I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that's kind of where my journey began, because Robert Kiyosaki, the author, he said, if you want to be great in sales, you want to be great in business, you got to be great in sales. And so I jumped in with both feet, and I took a sales position that was full commission. So a financial advisor. In my first year, I crushed it. I made $700. So that's kind of where my journey began. And, I realized wow, I got to do something to really help me get better. And so for 5 years, I buckled down and I started studying everything I could possibly get my hands on. I started reading good books. I started listening to audio programs. I started attending conferences. I even hired coaches, to get them to teach me how to get better. And over a 5-year period, I got better. I took my income from $700 to $72,000. And I was really frustrated because the company said I was doing a great job. They even gave me a nice title and sent me on a few award trips. But the funny thing is, I didn't feel anything close to successful. And I don't know if any of you can relate out there where you're doing the hustle and grind. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. And I heard this other quote from Robert Kiyosaki, because what happened for me was I was $30,000 in credit card debt. I'm renting an apartment, couldn't even qualify for a home, and driving a broken salvage title BMW, playing the fake it till you make it game. I mean, it was bad. Like my BMW, something was wrong with it. Obviously, it was a salvage title, and it would just spontaneously die in random places, to the point where I not only needed a set of jumper cables in my car, but I actually needed my own jumper battery pack so I could give myself a jump, because I'd get stranded places where no one could even pull over and give me a jump. And, I felt like I was supposed to be living the dream, but I was stuck living a nightmare. And that's when I heard this other quote from Robert Kiyosaki, and he said, stop taking advice from people more messed up than you. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's talking about me right now. Like, I'm trying to help people achieve their financial dreams. And here I was, this financial advisor. And I'll never forget this story. I was sitting in the home of a husband-wife couple, and I was telling them where I would invest all of their money. They had a whole life savings worth of money, and I was trying to win their business and open up their accounts with my company. And they were talking with each other, and they then stopped talking, and they looked back at me and they said, well, Cheri, where do you put your money? And I was thinking to myself, like, what money? I don't have any money. That's why I want your money. Like, come on. You know, so if you're out there and you're struggling and you're just getting started, that's kind of where I was. And it felt like I was out of integrity. You know, I'm supposed to be telling people what to do with their money, and I got none of my own. And it was at this moment where I realized something's broken. And to be honest, I wasn't sure whether or not it was me that was broken or was it the system that was broken. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized it actually wasn't me. And it's probably not you either. It was, in fact, the system. And what I realized was that the system was programming people to fail. The system was brainwashing people into believing one of the greatest lies ever told, that sales was a numbers game. I want you to ask yourself if you've ever heard that before. And what they told me was that in order to get more yeses, I had to get more nos. And that's what put me into the hustle and grind every single day, trying to wake up excited to go for no. And I woke up one day and said, that's actually one of the stupidest things I've ever heard, because the truth is, in order to get more yeses, you actually have to get more yeses, not more no's. I don't know one person that's ever wakes up totally pumped up to go for no, right? But I know a lot of people who wake up pumped up to go for yes every single day. So my founder story was kind of there at the crossroads of, you know what, I'm not going to go for no. I'm never going to go for no. I'm only going to go for yes. And so I wanted to figure out, how do you actually get more yeses? What is the science behind getting a yes? And speaking of science, people ask me all the time, hey, Cheri, is selling an art or a science? And you're going to hear both answers. You're going to say, hey, selling's totally an art. And you're going to hear people say selling is a science. And what I'll say to you is it's absolutely both. But selling is only an art if you know the science. And if you know the science, then selling can become the Michelangelo of your life, and it can turn you into a multimillionaire. It's one of the highest paid professions out there, being an entrepreneur. And matter of fact, Robert Kiyosaki says, if you can't sell, you might as well not even be in business. Selling is the number one skill set for any business owner or any entrepreneur. And there's a lot of people out there that unfortunately have an aversion to sales. They don't want to be in sales. They think sales is a dirty word, a nasty word. You know, they don't want to relate to that. They think that maybe salespeople are fraudulent or salespeople are manipulative. And if you've ever been programmed that way, you've been programmed like what Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about. You've been programmed by Poor Dad. Rich Dad loves sales. And if that word has been something that has been polarizing for you, simply replace the word sales with influence. You know, today, one of the buzzwords is, ooh, this person is an influencer. Look at all the followers they have. Well, influence is sales and sales is influence. Sales and influence is your ability to communicate with another human being. And what if there was actually a scientific way to learn how to communicate to people that gave you the yes instead of the no? So at that time, I started to look into the science of getting a yes. And what I realized, and the big secret, one of the secrets that I teach, is that sales is not a numbers game. It's actually a people game. So for me, what I started realizing was I'm going to study people, and I want to make sure that I understand everything there is to know about people rather than studying sales and sales tactics. You know, I remember going to these sales boot camps and learning how to, you know, do tie downs and overcome objections and do all of those types of things. And while on the surface level, it seemed like it was helpful, the reality was the more that I actually studied about people, the better I got in sales. So I ended up discovering something that was pretty magnificent. What I started to discover with people was that there were different types of people. And interestingly, you know, I'd taken these different personality assessments over time, and you guys have probably taken some of them too. There's really popular ones out there, like maybe DISC or the color code or Myers-Briggs type indicator, MBTI, or the Keirsey temperament sorter. There's ones like, what animal are you, or what astrology sign are you, or what jewel are you? Like literally there's probably hundreds of them. And I'd taken some of those. And the first few times I took them, to be honest, I was fascinated with what I learned about myself. I'm like, well, this is cool. But my fascination turned into frustration when I realized not one single one of these assessments ever made me more money. Like not one of them ever helped me close more sales. Not one of them ever helped me impact the bottom line. And I remember thinking, what's the point of taking all these assessments if it doesn't put money in the bank? And as a matter of fact, what all these assessments have in common, and this is what led to my thought, and this thought is what made me a multimillionaire. And the thought was this: if it's been proven for thousands of years that there's 4 different types of people, because this dates back to Hippocrates, the father of medicine, who basically figured out that the world could be divided into these 4 types, and he called it the theory of the 4 temperaments, right? That's the origin of these personality assessments. So my thought was, if it's been proven that there's 4 different types of people, I wonder if they make buying decisions differently. And I wonder if what makes one person say yes makes another person say no. So the light bulb that went on for me was I started looking for an assessment that could tell me not who I am, because no one's ever cared in the sales process. There's never been one client that said, hey, Cheri, wait, before you tell me anything else, I want to know your personality type. But my thought was, I want to know your personality type, and I wanted to know what made you say yes versus no in the sales process. And people ask me all the time, hey, is the assessment that you made, just like DISC or just like some of these other ones you just mentioned? And I say, yes, it's exactly the same, only completely different. And what made it exactly the same is it was based in personality science. What made it completely different was every other assessment that was out there was based in psychology, whereas Bank was the first in the world based in what I call biology, spelled B-U-Y-ology, which was the science of buying behavior. So when you heard Dan,
before you go, Cheri, I'm going to reset really quickly. I'm just going to reset because we have a lot of people that came in. I want to make sure they understand. We also want to make sure that they're able to take the test, because I know they're going to have questions on it. This is the first time we've ever actually done something where you can take action in the moment and then ask the founder, something we've waited actually 6 months to do. So this is incredible. I want to make sure everyone knows. So this is the founder story with Cheri Tree. She's an amazing, amazing entrepreneur. You can read her full bio. Just click on her profile, make sure you follow her, check her out on social. It's really important. Codebreaker Technologies, like she said, stop going for the no's, just go for the yes, because literally everybody hates no. I don't want to like a no, right? I hate no's. I want to get yeses. We all in this room want yeses. So what you can do is go to WMB. If you look at the pivot queens there, WMB.Club, WMB.Club. You can actually take the personality test, the bank test. Take the bank test while we're talking. It takes you 60 to 90 seconds. That's it to take it. You can do it on your phone while you're listening. And then I'm sure you're going to have questions for Cheri. She's going to dive into exactly how do you use it. We use it. We personally used it this morning when we had some disagreements between each other. So it wasn't even about business. It was actually personal stuff. So it's not just about business. So I'm excited. Cheri, I'm going to hand it back to you. Sorry to interrupt. Just want to make sure everyone knows they can take it. And then I'm sure they're going to have questions about it. So back to you.
Totally. No, that's awesome. And if you have not taken it yet, do it. It's so fun. It's so simple. And yet it's so revealing, like what you can learn about yourself just from a 60 to 90 second quick little assessment. It's not one of those 45 to 60 minute grueling versions. And it's a $99 assessment that you're getting to take for free for being on Clubhouse here with Daniel and Kate. So that's the gift that you get for listening to the session. And bottom line is, what you heard Daniel say is that this methodology that I created was called BANK, and that's the acronym BANK. And I'll go into it in a little bit. I want to kind of share the founder story part of it first, and then I'm happy to explain how the whole thing works and give you guys some tips to put you on the path to making your $1 million. Because if you have never made $1 million yet, they say money doesn't buy you happiness. And I'm going to say there's lie number 2. When they said sales is a numbers game, there's lie number 1. If they say money doesn't buy you happiness, there's lie number 2. Money buys you so much happiness, I can't even begin to explain. But money isn't everything, right? You need to have more than just money to be happy, but certainly money, if you're already a happy person by nature, money only makes life a lot better, right? So what happened for me with this bank thing that I built was, and I built it as an experiment. I didn't build it to teach you 20 years into the future here on Clubhouse and go change millions of people's lives. You know, I built it so that I could stop starving to death as an entrepreneur. And if I was trying to crack this code, and I remember kind of making a plea with God that's like, dear God, like, please, I really want to be a millionaire. Like, I really, really, really want to be a millionaire. And I'll do anything, you know, as long as it's legal and ethical. Like, I'm a student, I'll do anything if I can become a millionaire. And when I do, I will promise you that I will spend the rest of my life teaching other people how I did it and how they can do it too. That's why I agreed to be on the Clubhouse today, was because I made a commitment years ago, and I'm fulfilling my commitment by teaching people all over the world how to do it. So this experiment that I called Bank, I started using it. I wasn't even sure what would happen. But my first year, I took my income from $72,000 to over $500,000, a 7x increase in one single year. And the best part is I went from working 60 to 80 hours a week doing that hustle and grind like so many of you are doing, and dropping my hours down to 20 to 30. So literally just over part-time, making 7 times the income, $500,000. And within 3 years, my income was well over $1 million a year. I was 33 years old. I'm cash flowing more than $1 million a year. And of course, they say the rest is history at that point, because what I became super passionate about, and I want you to ask yourself a few questions, and I'm going to take some questions. I'd love to be able to answer your guys' questions when you come out here, when we open it up. But ask yourself, like, if you knew me back then and I was at zero, I was like someone who couldn't even make $100,000 a year, no matter how hard I tried, to suddenly making millions. My question to you would be, would you want to stop and pick my brain? Would you want to take me to lunch, your treat, to see if you could get me to spill the beans on what I'm doing? And that's one of the questions that I ask when I take on students and when I coach people all over the world. That's the one question I ask them that's like the qualifying question is, would you take me to lunch to ask me what I know? Because if you wouldn't, then you're just in here kind of wasting time, and you're listening to all these people and how they made their millions, but you're never really going to do something. But if you're the type that says, no, yes, I will take you to lunch. I want to pick your brain, my treat. I want to know everything that you know, and then I'm going to go implement it and I'm going to apply it. And if that's you, then you have a shot at becoming a millionaire. And that's what's exciting, because you deserve that opportunity. You know, I'm very, very passionate about helping people make their millions. And part of the reason I'm passionate is because when I was a financial advisor, I found out the truth about what your financial success was likely going to be. And as I broke it down, and these were numbers according to the government, you know, when they looked at today's 65-year-old in America, which is one of the greatest lands of opportunity, and you might be dialing in from other countries, today's 65-year-olds in America, 54% of people are dependent upon the government, their church, or their family for their financial living. And those were not good numbers. And then the next group in the pie chart was that 36% were still working, and McDonald's and Walmart became some of the largest employers of senior citizens. And I thought to myself, like, hell no, am I going to work my butt off my entire career to end up at Walmart or McDonald's? Like, no. The next group was 5%, and the 5% were dead. And I think, you know, that's, on one hand, it's tragic. On the other hand, they're lucky that they checked out financially early enough, right? Like, they're just gone, no more bills to pay. And so when you add that up, you're at 95% of our country here in America is totally screwed financially, just screwed, no matter how hard you're working. And I had parents who worked very hard. They had master's degrees. My dad was full-time military. My mom was a teacher. They had 6 kids, and they dedicated their entire life to working on the grindstone, so to speak, only to end up totally broke and barely scraping by on my dad's pension. So when you take that last 5%, and that's the people that are in this clubhouse, the reason that you're subscribed to this clubhouse, the reason that you're listening and you're trying to gather as many golden nuggets from all the mentors and the masters and the millionaires that are being brought onto the show, is so that you have your shot. So when we break down the remaining 5%, 4%, so 4 out of the 5 became financially independent. And I thought, all right, well, that sounds pretty good. Financial independence sounds good. until I understood the government's definition of it, which meant that you could live on somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. And I'm like, what? Like, no, I'm not going to work my whole life, for $3,000 to $4,000 a month. That is a nightmare, no. And those are the financially independent ones, guys. And that only leaves 1%, the 1% club, which is what's called the wealthy 1%. And that means that you need a net worth of $5 million or more. So if you're sitting here listening to this, Clubhouse, and you're like, you know what, that's me. If I'm committed to becoming the 1%, then you've got to figure out exactly what you have to do to make it to that wealthy 1% club. And the odds are so heavily stacked against you. 99% of you are never going to make it. And that's why you're tuning in right now. So Dan, I don't know if you want to do another reset, and I'll go a little bit deeper, but if you guys are the type that says I'm in for the 1% club, then, we got some good news for you.
Well, I think you're in the right place. I think there's a lot of people here that want to be in the 1% club. Otherwise, they would not be here listening. So thank you, Cheri. This is Cheri from Codebreakers Technologies. Go to WMB.Club. You can take the Codebreaker. You could go to the bank, take it to the bank and break your code, and you'll learn exactly what she's talking about. I think it's really important so you can really follow along here, and you'll have a really good understanding as to what she's saying, as to the questions that are about to come up. Also, before you do that, it's really simple. Press the plus symbol on your phone, and you just ping everyone you possibly can, because literally, if we can make an extra 5 1%ers in the world who are going to help millions and millions of people, because I think that's your point. The more people you help be financially free, the more people they're going to help, the more people they're going to employ, the more families that they're going to impact. And our mission in this club is to impact 100 million. I know you also have an incredible mission. So let's get people in this room. So ping them in, press the plus symbol, tap on a bunch of faces. It takes 1 second. Go to WMB.Club so you can take the test. We'll keep this thing going. Cheri, should I hand it back to you or Jackie? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can hand it back to me. And I haven't told you, as part of my founder story, and before I get into all the technical stuff, I'm going to tell you guys, no matter how hard it is, my theme song at one phase of my life was "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And if you're one of those people that's really you've had a tough go at it, I want to let you know that me too. During my journey of summiting, towards the 1% club, I had a massive setback, and I ended up filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I ended up losing everything I had. I mean, I literally lost everything. And the only thing that I had to do besides giving up on my dreams and moving back home with mommy and daddy was I took all my belongings and I found an industrial sized storage unit in Southern California where I was living at the time. I moved into that storage unit. I put all my stuff there. I moved into it. It was the best way that I could have a chance to rebuild my life. And it wasn't easy. The storage unit had no running water. I went to the camp store and got a 5-gallon bucket called a luggable loo. And I made that my toilet for 18 months. 18 months. I went and got a gym membership so I could shower. And it was in that storage unit where I built the first prototype of bank. And that's actually where I turned bank from a concept into a product. And that was one of my major setbacks. But just like you hear, a setback positions you for your comeback, right? And this is where God gets to kind of look into your soul and ask yourself, do you have what it takes to become a millionaire? And one of my mentors, I remember him saying, don't become a millionaire just for the money. Become a millionaire because of who you become as you become a millionaire. And as you listen to a lot of these founder stories, why they're so inspiring is, you get to hear their story about how they got knocked down flat out on their back against all odds. And they had one of the greatest comebacks of all time. And I think that's part of the badge that you have to earn. If this was gamification of becoming a millionaire, you have to earn the badge of literally getting shoved on your back and back up against the wall, whether it's gone through divorce or whether you've been through abuse or whether you've been through lawsuits or whether you've been through bankruptcy or whatever, you have to earn that badge in order to determine how bad you want it. because to make it to the Wealthy 1% Club, you do have to become different than everyone else, you know, and people are going to call you out and they're going to be like, oh, Cheri, you've changed. Oh, Cheri, you're not the friend that I thought you were. Like, you're going to have to evolve. And this is where I'm going to give you guys my formula for success. And then I'm going to drill into bank and I'm going to give you some golden nuggets. But my formula for success, if you guys are taking notes, is this. It's mindset. Okay. Mindset. Like, you have to be so mentally tough that you can get through anything, no matter what the hardship is. You're bankrupt, you're broke, you're divorced, whatever it is, you have to have really tough mindset. Okay. Plus mindset plus skill set. Okay. You can't just have the world's best mindset and then absolutely no skills. You need to go and develop skills, business skills. Most people have no business sales skills backgrounds whatsoever. So you do need to get good, and you do need to invest in sharpening those skills and getting so good. And that's why I took Robert Kiyosaki's advice. He said the number one skill that you need to master if you're going to be in business is you need to be amazing in sales, right? I remember my aunt telling me, hey, Cheri, you can sell ice to an Eskimo. And I'm thinking to myself, well, duh, like, Eskimos need ice. Like, hello, could you imagine what a life would be of an Eskimo if he didn't have any ice? And another time she said, Cheri, you can sell stripes to a tiger. And I'm like, hello, tigers need stripes, right? So be proud of your ability to communicate with other people, right? That's an important skill set. So mindset plus skill set plus tool set. You need to have tools. And you need to leverage technology, especially in today's modern world, to be able to save you time. Okay. What those things do is they save you time and they make your job a lot easier. And for example, what I mean by that is, let's say you want to chop down a tree. Okay. You can take an axe and you can chop all day and take rest and drink water because you're about to pass out. Or you can get a chainsaw and just zap that thing down in like 2 minutes. Right. So mindset plus skill set plus tool set equals jet set. And if you want to live the jet set life, if you want to be able to live life on your terms, if you want to be able to travel the world and go to exotic places and put your feet in the sand of the most epic beaches in the world, then you need to adopt that philosophy. You need to have the right mindset. You need to have the right skill set. You need to have the right tool set. And then you get to live the jet set life of life on your terms. So Dan, if you're ready, Kate, if you're ready, I'm happy to like dig in a little bit and we can start putting some meat on the bones for what is this bank thing and how does it work?
I love it. I have a question for you. Can you name a person who has a tremendous impact on you as a leader?
You know, I mention his name a lot, Robert Kiyosaki. You know, he started off as like an author whose book I read, and that book was so game-changing for me. I mean, the difference of learning how to trade time for dollars versus having dollars work for you, the justification of why to be a business owner and an entrepreneur as opposed to working for someone else. Because you go to college, I did exactly what my family told me to do. You know, everybody has a college degree in my family and even master's degrees. I'm the only one who doesn't even have a master's degree. You know, some of them graduated magna cum laude. I graduated thank the laude. You know, like, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. You know, I want to own a business. Why do I have to go to school for that? And Robert Kiyosaki helped me to stand in my power. And he taught me about a different type of MBA that I wanted to earn as an entrepreneur. And my MBA stands for massive bank account. You know, so for those of you that are listening here, that was the MBA route that I chose. I don't need the academic version. I want the massive bank account version. And I want to figure out exactly, again, how to become a millionaire, because more money makes good people better. Just like you guys mentioned, you know, if you have a lot more money, and I'm talking about if you have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, most likely you are going to be the type that's going to do good in the world. You're going to help people. You're going to help to stop sex trafficking. You're going to feed children who are starving to death. You're going to do things that are going to help humanity heal and move that human race forward. And that's what I've dedicated the rest of my life to doing. And the more money we make as a company, you know, we like to say that we're profit centered, but we're purpose driven. And we use money to fuel the mission and the movement that we're on as a company. So our mission as a company is to connect and empower humanity. And we do that by using the bank technology and methodology as our way of doing that. So
Thank you so much.
Robert Kiyosaki is definitely one of my number ones.
I love it. And we have a lot of great comments from LinkedIn. Mark, he said the process of becoming, love this. And a lot of Facebook users, this is so exciting. A lot of gems. Dan, let's do a reset and then we're going to get to the meat and potatoes.
All right, all right. So we have Cheri Tree here, CEO of Codebreakers Technology, talking about going to the bank. I love what you're saying. I love how you use the acronym bank. I mean, it's just so fitting. If you go to WMB.Club, you can take the free assessment. It's really exciting that she allowed us to be able to offer this to everyone for free. Go to that. It'll forward you to her site so you could take the test. I'm getting a lot of messages on here about people taking the test and they're sharing it with me. And I can tell you there's a lot of people in this room, by the way, that have N, either the first or second. So I think there's a lot of nurturers. And we talked about that this morning. I know I'm moving forward, but it's really interesting how we thought we're going to have a lot of nurturers on this stage, which is incredible. Love that. So if you go to WMB.Club, you can take the test. Also, press the plus symbol, ping some. We got over 100 people. Let's keep this thing cranking. Let's get to 200 people because a lot of people need to hear this, and we're going to impact more lives. Cheri here, and we're just so appreciative of you being here. So thank you, Cheri. I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thank you. Well, you guys are awesome. And thank you guys for listening. Like this is so cool. My Clubhouse app pings me every now and then and I go to tap it and next thing you know, I'm sucked into the room like, oh my gosh. So let's talk about bank. Let's talk about what it is and what it can do for you. Probably the number one thing that I love about bank is it makes you a better human being. You know, bank makes you more emotionally intelligent. When you understand not only yourself, but other people, you develop a superpower that makes life so much easier. I'm going to talk about the bank acronym. You know, I'm the author of the book, Why They Buy. And by the way, we're going to talk about how, if any of you want to get a copy of this book, we've set up a special where anybody who buys the book, we're actually going to give you our entire bank masterclass. It's like a 20 video module series. We're going to do all of that as a bonus. So just keep listening and I'm going to tell you how you can get access to it if you decide you want to read the book. But I'm going to take you into the acronym of bank. So in realizing that there's 4 different types of people, what I realized is that there's 4 different types of buyers or 4 different types of buying behavior. Remember, I built this specifically in an application for how this could impact sales. And then as we go deeper, I'm going to share the side impact that it had on every single relationship, including marriages, parenting, and all kinds of cool stuff. So bank is an acronym, B-A-N-K, just like it sounds. And the B in bank stands for blueprint. And that's going to be someone who I would classify as very conservative, risk averse, and inside the box. And this type of person is wired in a way where, you know, they're not going to be very adventurous and they're going to be a little bit scared to take an entrepreneur step, right? They're going to be, again, more conservative. And I'll dive into that in a minute. The A in bank stands for action. You know, these are the movers and shakers and millionaire makers. These are the ones, I use the color red for action. I use blue for blueprint because they're a little bit more colder to approach. The red in action, they act like they just drank Red Bull for breakfast or they want VIP treatment, think red color carpet. They're the ones that are totally outside the box. Rules do not apply to them. As an example. So they are take no prisoners, let's go make things happen type of people. The N in bank stands for nurturing. And I use the color yellow for nurturing. These are the people that are super warm and friendly. Think like sweet like honey, warm like sunshine. And they've got a heart of gold. They're the ones that recycle the box. And the thing about the nurturing people is they often care more about making a difference than they do about making a dollar. So their measuring stick is not money, but it's more like karma and karma credits and doing good in the world. And the knowledge, the K stands for knowledge. I use the color green for that. You know, this person loves data, science, facts, figures, information. Think like Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. That little logo is green. Or in the movie The Matrix, the computer code that falls across the screen is green. And that's how I would analyze the knowledge personality type. They're the ones that engineer the box. So when you look at, BANK as the acronym, blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge, what I started to realize was that each person was not just one of those 4 types, but they were actually a combination of all 4. And that's what makes up their BANK code. Now, let me just give you guys a quick little iteration here. I've got these 4 cards in front of me, and obviously Clubhouse, you're just listening to the audio. These guys are broadcasting video to certain places too. But the blueprint card, like if you just classified yourself as a blueprint, you have a certain set of values. And what we've identified in the BANK system is someone who values, a blueprint values things like stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and tradition. So you can see this type of person. I remember I went to meet this type of person. I was trying to sell them an insurance policy back in the day. And I met with him 2, 3, 4 times, and the guy never bought from me. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, call me when you're ready. And actually the day came when he called me and said, I'm ready. And he said, let's meet for lunch. And I'm like, awesome. And so he told me when and where to meet him. And I go down to the restaurant to meet him. And unfortunately, I arrived 10 minutes late. And I apologized for being late. And I'll never forget this moment, because as I went to hand him the contract that he told me to bring, as soon as I went to hand it to him, his hands went up like this, like, whoa, stop. Don't go any further. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, Cheri, I no longer want to do business with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You just called me and said, let's meet for lunch. You're ready to sign the contract. He said, well, you were late. And he said, and literally I was 10 minutes late. He points to his watch and he says, you just disrespected my time. And if this is the way you treat me before you have my money, imagine how I think you'll treat me once you have it. And I mean, guys, for those of you that are listening, like that was a huge bomb drop. And that was a major aha for me when I realized what makes a blueprint type of person not buy from you. Punctuality was one of those things. I was acting irresponsibly in that moment by showing up 10 minutes late. And I had no idea the cost and the impact. And for those of you that are okay getting a no, what is the cost of a no? You break it down and you're like, man, not only did I lose thousands of dollars of commission that day in that moment, I lost something called the lifetime value of the customer. In the insurance industry, you're paid every single year the client renews. So I lost 30 years of revenue stream on that guy. I lost his entire referral network. I lost my reputation. I lost credibility. I lost time. I lost money. I lost confidence. I lost self-esteem. Those are all the impacts of getting no's. Okay. So again, if you've ever heard that sales is a numbers game and to go for no, don't you ever say that again. Don't you ever do that again, because the universe is always listening. And if you say, I'm going to go for no, just so you can get mentally tough, the universe is just going to keep bringing you more no's. So that was an example of a blueprint. Now the A for action, remember there's that mover, shaker, millionaire maker, the red card, that you look at their set of values. They value things like freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, having fun, and they care all about their image from head to toe. It's all for show. So you have action personality types that are wired to be a certain way. And the thing about the action personality types is they're designed to be the best. Okay. They are literally programmed from the very beginning of life to be the best. If you put them in any type of sports competition, they are designed to win, right? They are very sore losers because, you even come in second place, you're the first loser according to the action personality type. And so they're wired a certain way. And I've heard action types say the reason they didn't buy from this person or that person was based on what you wore to the appointment, the shoes you wore, the purse you had, the car you drove. It might seem so shallow and so judgmental until you realize, like, wow, that's how an action personality type is wired. And how do you do business with them? How do you win doing business with them? Okay. And that's what the BANK system taught me. So then you go to the nurturing. Let's look at the values of a nurturing personality type. There's someone who values relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. Again, this person cares more about making a difference than they do about making a dollar. And this person can feel sometimes very friendly, right? They're often very friendly, the huggy type. But salespeople get really frustrated with them because they often don't have much money because they gave it all away because money is not the thing that they're trying to accumulate. But don't ever underestimate the nurturing type because what they do have is something called relationship currency and who they're connected with and the doors they can open for you from their referrals can be worth its weight in gold. And so the key is, how do you win the trust of the nurturing type who are amazing people to do business with? Because if you do it the wrong way, if you approach them the wrong way, I've heard nurturing people say, I'll never do business with that person because they are like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And they will literally go warn everyone in their network to never do business with you because of that. And that can literally wipe you out and put you out of business. So doing business with the nurturing, they make their buying decision with their intuition. Their intuition is designed to help them make the right decisions. And if they ever go against their intuition, they find that they're typically wrong and they're going to regret it. And they're going to wish that they followed their intuition. So how do you win them in a way that their intuition says, you know what, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about you just feels right. And I want to move forward with you. So there's the nurturing type. And then you have the knowledge type who, is the very toughest of them all to close. The knowledge personality type, they value things like learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture. And usually when I'm talking about the knowledge personality type, I'll say, how long does it take to close a K in the sales process? And I'll give you a hint. It starts with the number 4, as in forever. Because if you've ever heard someone getting stuck in analysis paralysis, that knowledge personality type needs more and more and more data. And they have more and more and more questions that need to be answered. And most people don't have the patience to actually sit with the K. And by the way, they make a critical mistake because you can't close a K. The only person who can close the K personality type is themselves. They have to close themselves. They have to convince themselves and go through that entire logic sequence in order for them to say yes and move forward. And most people don't know how to help them close that loop. And so they're just stuck always in analysis paralysis and never moving forward. So when you look at the stack of these 4 different types of bank codes, blueprint, who are very conservative, remember inside the box, blue, action, red, hot, on fire, mover, shaker, millionaire maker, get out of my way. I'm going to run you over. And, I'm very judgmental about who I do business with. The yellow nurturing type, that's like, sweet like honey, and they care all about people. And the K knowledge personality type that cares all about the data. And you look at those 4 codes, and the first thing I always want to do is I want to ask you, which type are you, right? Are you more blueprint? Are you more action? Are you more nurturing? Or are you more knowledge? And typically by this point, what most people realize is, well, I feel like I'm a little bit of all 4 of them. And if you can relate to that, the answer is correct. You are all 4 of them. And that's what determines your bank code. So if you think of a bank code like a PIN code, right? If you were to take out your debit card and go throw it into the ATM machine, it would ask you for a 4-digit PIN code if you want money to come out. Well, your clients are the exact same way, except they have a 4-digit bank code. And if you want to have a yes come out, which usually leads and follows with money coming out, then you need to understand your client's 4-digit bank code. So when I was looking at my bank system, I thought, well, how many bank codes are there? And because you can sort them in any order, there actually ends up being 24 different bank code combinations. And what that taught me mathematically is that there was a 1 in 24 chance of me actually nailing my client's bank code. That's roughly a 4% chance, right? 4.16 if you're a K. And those are not good odds. And that is why they say sales is a numbers game. That is why they say you need to go for no instead of go for yes, because you have such a high probability of getting a no and saying the wrong thing when you're just trying to guess. And that's probably the most frustrating thing about sales. And that's probably what makes most people hate sales and don't even want to admit that if they're in business that they are in sales, is because this is the one piece of the puzzle that is the most challenging. Is it's the people piece. Who are you actually talking to? So when I built my bank system, I wanted to see if I could figure out if I could crack someone's code, their bank code, in less than 90 seconds. And what traditional sales training says is, hey, you have to build rapport. You need to ask questions. You need to be a great listener. Well, all those things are true. What they're really trying to say, without knowing the science behind it, is they're trying to say you do all of that so you can simply guess their bank code. And if you can guess their bank code, then you could probably move the relationship forward and get a yes and close the sale. So I decided, why don't we make this easier? You know, if you guys have ever watched Indiana Jones, if you remember that scene where that guy has the sword and Indiana Jones is about to die and he's like with his really fancy sword getting ready to kill him. And Indiana Jones looks at the crowd that's all freaked out that Indy's about to die. And he's like, what are you guys worried about? And he reaches behind his back, pulls out a gun and shoots him. Right? Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. So when I built bank, I thought, all right, if my client has a 4-digit bank code, what if I could actually crack their code in less than 90 seconds? And what if I could get it right 100% of the time? Like, why don't we take the guesswork out of this? And how I did that was I came up with a way to simply ask my client, what's your bank code? And I came up with a really cool way of doing that. And I built a set of 4 cards. I call them the bank cards. And I literally hand them to my client and I'd say, hey, Dan, hey, Kate, do me a favor before we get started. Take a look at these 4 cards. And I want you to just sort them in order. Put the ones that's most like you and most important to you on top or on the left, and put the ones that are least important to you, least like you, on the bottom or on the right, depending on if you're sorting them vertically or horizontally. And then I told them, this is going to help me serve you better and save us both some time. And at the end of saying that, I would shut up and I would literally watch what would happen. Because honestly, I didn't know what would happen. This was an experiment, right? And as I did that, what happened was fascinating. Was every single time I asked someone to crack their code and do this little exercise, 100% of people did it. Every person did it. And I was like, wow, like this is fascinating. You know, they're actually doing the exercise with me. And then I found out why, because there was an actual science behind what I was doing. Number 1, their curiosity got the best of them. Number 2, the topic on the cards was about them, not me. And that's what they're more interested in, is themselves. And number 3, I actually used personality science, the bank personality science, to communicate with them. And I'm going to deconstruct this for you guys listening right now so you can actually see how influence is created right in front of your eyes. Influence is a science. Okay. So when I hand my clients these cards, right, and I say, I want you to take a look at the 4 cards, I'm talking to the knowledge personality type of their code. The K piece of their code wants all the information and the data, and they're going to start reading these 4 cards. And then I give them the instructions and I say, I want you to sort these cards top to bottom or left to right, most like you to least like you. Well, I'm now talking to their inner blueprint who wants the rules and the instructions and the processes. I then say, this is going to help me serve you better or get to know you better. I'm now talking to the nurturing part of their bank code who wants a better connection and relationship with me, the human that's in front of them. And I end it with, and save us both some time. I'm now talking to their inner action who says, hurry up, chop, chop, like get to the bottom line. Time is money. Let's go. And so do you realize that what I just did is I deconstructed language for you? And I showed you how to actually communicate in a language of influence, what I call the bank codes. If you can actually communicate with your clients in a language that's designed and optimized to get a yes instead of a no, it can make the sales process easier than it's ever been before. And by the way, not just sales, it makes every single relationship that you have easier than it's ever been. We have people using bank, not just for business. Yeah, let's do it.
And sorry, I was still muted there. I want to make sure people can take the test and they all know exactly what you're talking about. This is incredible, though. I didn't mean to cut you off. So This is Cheri. We had a lot of people come in. Cheri here, founder story, Codebreaker Technology, founder, CEO. She created the bank system. If you go to WMB.Club, you can check it out. Also, make sure you follow her. She's all the way to the top left. She has an amazing book as well that I don't even like to read books, but I read her book. It's really amazing. I've always loved sales. I'm even thinking that the K is what we would call an engineer, but that was always the joke I always had. Like, you can't close an engineer. But so Cheri here, CEO, Codebreaker Technology, take it to the bank, do the code breaking. It's really incredible. She's walking through every single step. This is absolutely amazing. I know this is going to change a lot of people's lives. Before we keep going, do you mind if we go to Jackie for a quick question and then we can go back?
Yeah, let's do it. Hi, Jackie. Absolutely. Absolutely. In a perfect world, all of us would walk around with our bank code, because then we actually know how to communicate with other human beings, and it takes all the guesswork out of it. It eliminates all the friction. So, for example, every time I'm on a Zoom session, it shows my name and my bank code next to my name every single time. In my email signature, it shows my name, my title, and my bank code. Mm-hmm. So the idea is, if we humans can actually show what our bank codes are, we can communicate far more effectively with people. We can actually build much better relationships with human beings. So I absolutely recommend it. And you guys here at Clubhouse are doing that, right? You just started cracking codes. If you're listening and you have not cracked your code yet, go and do it. We made it for free. We waived the $99 cost to crack your code and get your free personality report from Bank Code. If you go to WMB.Club, and that's what Jackie and Dan and Kate are referring to, is go crack your code. Takes you less than 90 seconds. You're going to get a free bank personality report all about you. You're going to be blown away by how much you learned about yourself. If that's the only thing you got from me talking here, is that free report. It's going to be so insightful. Plus, it's going to give you some tips. Like, for example, how do you alter your personality when you're under stress? We reveal it in that report. It's so cool to find out, like, wow, no wonder, totally makes sense. And then in the report, we give you something called the Codebreaker Challenge. Like, go crack the code of your immediate family, figure out what your spouse is, figure out what your kids are, figure out what your siblings or your parents are. It's going to explain so much. Like, people literally connect the dots on their life and their relationships or their exes or whatever, like understanding those codes. And then we give you a Codebreaker Challenge for your business, which is go crack the code of 10 of your most important clients or colleagues or people that you work with, because you'll be blown away what you're about to find out from other people. So yeah, there's a lot of power in that code. And that's why we're giving you guys that free assessment and allowing you to go experience it for yourself as our gift to you for listening on Clubhouse and getting committed on how to make your first or your next million. Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Jackie. So my bank code, everyone, my bank code is action first, nurturing second, knowledge third, and blueprint last. And that's my bank code, what I would call ANKB. And if you know anything about the action personality type, like, I don't want to make a process more complicated. I actually want to make it more simple, and I want it practical, and I want it results driven. Like, I don't have time to go sit in a cave all day and figure out the science of the world. At the end of the day, like, I just wanted to make more money and help more people. So what I ended up building was a set of tools, training and technology to be able to help me on my journey. And then when I realized it helped me, I realized it helped many other people too, like thousands and thousands of people all over the world using Bank. Okay. So some of the technologies that we created, one technology, as I built these 4 cards, and if you ever go to our website, codebreakertech.com, you're going to see on there 4 cards that you can buy, the Bank cards, right? Usually people buy the book and the cards, and that's one place they start. Well, people were holding these cards up, and if they weren't face to face, like how do you use those cards in a virtual world? You know, you can hold them up on your Zoom session or whatever. We said, why don't we make it easier, and let's develop a technology where you can actually crack your client's code anywhere in the world. Just shoot them a link and send them your custom link, and boom, in 90 seconds, you've captured their bank code. And what's cool, so we called that technology Bank Pass. And here's what's awesome. When you go crack your client's code and they do the test and you make it free for them, just like we made it free for you, our system sends out 2 reports. So the client gets a bank code report all about them, but that's not why we built it. We built it because we wanted you, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the salesperson who sent them the link, because it's a subscription model. If you're paying for that link, you get a report. You get a matching corresponding sales report every single time your customer or your prospect or your leads go crack their code. You get the matching sales report that says, hey, great news. This person just cracked their code. Here's their name. Here's their phone number. Here's their email that they agreed to share. Here's their bank code. And here's the top tips of how to communicate, negotiate, and close the sale. Right? So that you have your best shot at building a relationship with your customer or your client. People are using this Bank Pass technology to not only crack the codes of their clients and people that they're attempting to do business with, but they're actually using it as a lead generation tool and inviting people on social networks to crack their code, offering them a free assessment, and then capturing all of that lead data with strategies on how to follow up with that person should you choose to do business and engage them. So that's one technology called Bank Pass. We built another technology using AI. So we developed the first AI in the world called Codebreaker AI. It's an artificial intelligence powered by Bank. And what's cool about this is the AI can now literally crack someone's code in nanoseconds. We built an extension on Chrome. So if you're using the Google Chrome browser, let's say you go to LinkedIn and you pull up my profile, Cheri Tree. If you install the Chrome extension, which that Chrome extension is free, you just simply install it, okay? Now you have to have a subscription on our side to Codebreaker AI. So if you're one of our paid AI customers, you use that Chrome extension on LinkedIn, you can pull up any person's profile, click one button, our Bank AI button on the page, and the AI, the artificial intelligence, will scrape that person's entire LinkedIn profile and generate a bank code in about 1 second. And then it will guide you on exactly what to say and how to engage that person to get the yes instead of a no. Right. So it's just, I mean, guys, these are technology tools of the future. This is why Forbes wrote us up and said, this is the future of sales. This Codebreaker AI can analyze any piece of text. You can take an email that you got from a prospect or a potential client. If you're working on winning a bid or a deal or a proposal, you can take their correspondence, run it through the AI. The AI will kick out what their bank code is and how to engage them. These are just super powerful tools that we built as a company, Codebreaker Technologies, to help our client know what is someone's bank code, whether they do the activity or whether you just use our AI to figure it out without them. And then what do you say to that person? How do you communicate effectively with that person to get a yes instead of a no? And by the way, how do you do it ethically so that you're not manipulating people? And that's the most important part. You're not doing this to hurt people. You're doing this to help people. And let me actually explain. When I crack someone's code, let's say I hand you these cards or I ask you to crack your code like we are doing here, go to WMB.Club and crack your code. What I'll tell people is when you go there, you're going to see 4 digital cards. Those are the bank cards. And you'll notice at the top of those cards the word values. Well, that's very important. And what I'll tell people is if you're willing to share with me what your values are in your priority sequence, then we can customize our time together based on what's most important to you, instead of potentially wasting your time based on what's most important to me. If that's all you say to your client, your customer, as to the reason that you want to do this exercise and have them crack their code, so to speak, let me ask you, Jackie, how do you think you would feel if someone actually took the time to ask you to prioritize your values because they want to customize the time together based on what's most important to you, instead of potentially wasting their time? What a lot of salespeople do is they just jibber jabber and they blab their mouth and they say all these things that are irrelevant or unimportant to the person in front of them, giving them a sales spiel, so to speak. So
I get it, Cheri, because I have used this. So when I have clients approach me in my different businesses, what I do is I have them, so they're looking to do business with me, but I have them crack the code so that I know how to give them the message the way they need it. But what I've also found it fantastic for was for my staff, would you believe? So understanding their strengths, how to communicate with them, and also using this for future interviewing. Like another light bulb. Really undervalue or underestimate the amount of knowledge and insight that I get every single day, personally and in business, from using this system. So that's why I use it. That's why I'm a huge fan. So can I also ask you, people will be, wondering, oh, look at this AI and all that sort of thing, Cheri. And people sometimes, they want to make that money. What sort of an investment is it for people to start off that they can use this technology so that it will help them get on the road to making the millions like you did?
yeah, well, we wanted to make it we wanted to make it really affordable so that a lot more people could afford to do it. And so we turned it into a subscription model just to make it simple. I mean, it cost us millions of dollars to develop, but on the subscription side, $29 a month gives someone a bank pass, which means they can go crack unlimited codes and capture unlimited leads for less than $1 a day and get those guided reports on how to engage their clients. $59 a month includes Codebreaker AI and also the LinkedIn Chrome extension. And that saves people so much time by being able to do that. So that's basically $2 a day. It includes bank pass plus the Codebreaker AI. And then at $99 a month, which is our top and also most popular subscription, 92% of our clients choose that one. That unlocks something called the Bank Vault. And inside the Bank Vault is all of our online learning, and not just like recorded webinars and stuff like that. We did full production, virtual reality or virtual training in studios, and it's got all kinds of really cool stuff. It's broken up into modules. There's workbooks, there's tests, there's quizzes, there's gamification, there's interaction inside the Bank Vault on all these different topics, personally and professionally. And that's a $99 subscription. It's month to month. We don't ever lock our clients into long-term contracts because we believe if we can help them just go close one more sale, like our system is more than paid for. Plus, they're getting the intangible benefits of building better and stronger relationships, more referrals, just using that. And one thing we're going to do for everyone listening here in Clubhouse is we're going to give you guys access. If you invest in our system to get the book, right, I'm going to give you a bonus of our Bank Masterclass, 20 modules on bank and how to apply it to sales so that you have your shot at your 1% club. And if you want to test out our technology, this is part of the tool set that I talked about in the formula for becoming a millionaire, right? Is mindset plus skill set plus tool set. We're going to make our subscription for the $99 package. That way you get to try everything out for simply $1 for an entire month. And that way for $1, if you guys like it, you can test it. And we'll be sending you guys a special link for those of you that crack your code. That's where we're going to send the bonuses to. So all you have to do is go crack your code on WMB.Club. And as long as you've cracked your code, we're going to send you a special link that will allow you to get my digital book, Why They Buy, plus the bonus of our bank for masterclass and taking our assessment, all of that built in. It's $19.95 for my book, and that whole package, $19.95. It's like a couple $100 for less than $20. Or there's like, and that's called Kickstarter. Or there's Kickstarter Pro, which includes the masterclass on bank for relationships. How does bank impact dating, marriage, parenting? For example, because every human that you are in a relationship with, even intimately, has a bank code. And, you know, I like to say opposites attract and opposites attack. And that relationship course is worth its weight in gold. And so that whole program, it's like a $400 or $500 package that we made at $49.95. So literally $50 gets you both master classes for sales and relationships. And if you do either one of those packages, we're going to give you a $1 trial of our technology. So you can try out Bank Pass and you can go generate leads and crack codes. You can use the AI unlimited during that 30 days, and you can log into the vault and take every course we have for just that $1. And if you want to continue, then it's a monthly subscription. You can upgrade, downgrade, or cancel if you wish. But I wanted to make this affordable because if we go back to what our mission is, connect and empower humanity. What does that mean? Well, we live on a planet with more than 7 billion people, more than 6,500 languages spoken on the planet. And I believe there's only one language that has the power to connect the human race back together again. And I call that language bank, which is a language for people. And so our mission is we just want to get that out there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to questions.
Jackie, before we're going to do that, we have a person here that has a question all the way from Poland, and she's a superstar. And her question is, how can she use this for her MLM business?
Well, I love that you're in network marketing. That's one of my favorite industries that I train a lot of people in. And network marketing, you know, if you have the courage to join network marketing, you absolutely can do a fantastic job, but the odds are heavily stacked against you, right? 98% of people in network marketing earn less than $500 a year. So we actually develop specialized training for people in network marketing, and we focus bank on 4 key areas: revenue, which is helping them close sales and make money; recruiting, which is building their team and building the distribution; rank, which is leadership skills of moving people forward in the organization; and retention, which is keeping people locked in, keeping the customers purchasing from you and your team intact. And so you'll find a specialized training inside the bank vault on what we call the 4 R's of network marketing. That's one of our specialized courses, since so many people, over 100 million people, are involved in network marketing. And to be honest, it's a great way to get to the Wealthy 1% Club. You know, is it easy? No, but getting into the 1% Club is never going to be easy. That's why they call it the 1% Club, is 99% don't make it. So bank, what I recommend in network marketing is that you use it on every single appointment. Every time you talk to someone, use the bank codes, figure out what their code is, and figure out what to say to them based on that bank code by following our formulas. You're going to have a much higher shot at getting the yes instead of a no.
Okay.
They have for you, Cheri. So would you flash your mics, please? And I come to you for your question. Okay, Big Mike, you're flashing. Do you have a question for Cheri?
Yeah, I do, Jackie. Thanks. Cheri, my question for you is, first of all, my code is ANKB. I employ over 600 employees. I want to get my employees to take this test so I know what their personality is too, so I know how to deal with them more effectively. Is there a website that I could go to be able to do this, to get the code?
Yes. Yeah. Mike, first of all, congratulations on the way that you're thinking, because if you actually understand your employees better, you can get much better engagement and really optimize those relationships internally. So thank you for asking that. Did you obviously cracked your code? I'm the same code as you, ANKB. So as long as you cracked your code, did you do it on the WMB.Club site? Okay, perfect. We are going to send an email out to that group that cracked their code with a special link to our website that's going to give you access to some of these offers that I'm sharing with you. If you subscribe to it at the minimum, get the Bank Pass technology, you can then set up your own custom link, and then you can have every single one of your employees crack their code and capture that data. And that's going to start to become very valuable to you in knowing who's working with your company and what makes them tick.
Being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you want more help, we do consulting, we do training, we partner with companies, we do all kinds of things. And so just reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. You know what? It's so fun, and cracking the codes is in real time, right? So you guys actually have a dashboard and you can see all the code cracks coming in when you guys are logging in. Just before the show, we got kind of a snapshot, and actually let me pull it up. I have it on my screen too, because it's super cool. Of the people here in Clubhouse who have cracked their code, you guys, you can kind of take a guess here. 36%, the largest category, 36% of you listening are action personality types in your first dominant position. And that's awesome. I mean, you're listening to a Clubhouse on what it takes to run $1 million business, right? So action's high, and then followed right behind that, 34% of you put nurturing first. So those are two very dominant. That's 70% of you are action and nurturing first. And then followed by 18% of you are blueprint, and 12% of you are knowledge first. And that's cool because it gives you immediate feedback. Like when you have one of these Bank Pass subscriptions, you literally are collecting all of this data on your customers or your clients or your employees. You get a pie chart that shows you who all the people are. And it allows you to be like, wow. So imagine getting immediate feedback where I can see 70% of you are action and nurturing. Well, that's going to tell me as a speaker, even here on Clubhouse, hey, wow, I need to keep the pace going high and fast and rapid, but I need to also stay emotionally connected with the audience. I need to stay authentic and real with them, right? I can't get all arrogant and be like, I'm too good for all of you. I'm gonna stay humble. I'm gonna stay connected, and I'm gonna share stories about how this is impacting a lot of other people. And there's hitting 70% of you right off the bat with those first two codes, right? And that's how you can use this in real time. So that's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Right,
So
Cheri, I have a question. Mine is BNKA. What does that mean to me?
Yeah. Okay. So Kate's bank code is BNKA, blueprint, nurturing, knowledge, action. Here's what that means. Anyone who puts blueprint first, they're the type that wants to have things totally dialed in. They want to have their ducks in a row, dot the I's, cross the T's, organize everything. Everything goes into a plan. And then when nurturing is second, they're like, all right, now that this is dialed in, I want to go connect with people, right? And I actually want to build relationships. So you look at what the priorities are of the values. If someone, imagine if you booked me to speak for Clubhouse and I showed up 15 minutes late, would you go nuts?
Yes, for sure.
You totally freak out, right? And for blueprints, they kind of live time like Vince Lombardi, where he says, if you're early, you're on time. And if you're on time, you're late. And that's what Vince Lombardi would say. Well, Vince Lombardi was a blueprint, right? So you can start to connect the dots on some of the world's most famous quotes, and they have a bank code. Like, for example, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. How many times have you heard that? That was said by a blueprint, Benjamin Franklin. So every human, even all the celebrities of the past, the historical figures of the past, have a bank code. And so if you know that about you, I'm going to show up early instead of on time or late. I'm going to make sure I have my ducks in a row so I have an entire plan. I'm going to make sure that I stay warm and friendly, but professional. I'm not going to jump into your arms and give you a super warm hug when we've never met before. I'm going to be polite and respectful, but I'm not going to go in for that warm, nurturing hug when you're a blueprint first, because we have not built a professional rapport yet. Does that make sense?
Thank you. That makes sense. All right, Dan.
Hey, Kate. Yeah, no, we'll end the video here. We're just going to transition only to Clubhouse. But before we do, I think this is very interesting for two things. It makes sense if you're going to go speak at a convention and you have the ability to get this out to your audience first, you're going to know how to then sell to your audience from the stage, which I know you're very good at. The other thing is I'm thinking of like Facebook groups, or if you have these communities where you might want to launch a product or you're not really sure how to approach people. I'm thinking, we have some Facebook groups or some other communities like, wow, you know what? I would love to offer them a product or service, but I don't even know how to approach them or even what they would even want. This seems like something very useful where you can take this to your communities that you have. Maybe you're not selling something, or maybe you tried and it didn't work. So you could fully understand, like if 36% are A's, well, maybe they like a product that's geared towards an A. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that you're absolutely right. Like, for example, I remember I was doing a presentation on how to